Hey guys, how you doing? This is Andrew Sims with the Sims Consulting Group, and on this Wednesday, we're going to talk about leaving a legacy, right? We're building these businesses, we're starting these families, right? We're honoring God, we're doing all of these things, man, to leave a legacy or a blueprint to a certain extent for our kids to follow, our great grandkids, right? We want to leave a good story. We want to leave a legacy. We want to leave a good name, a good brand, right? When it comes to what it is that we're on this earth to do, right? We want to make sure that we lay out the foundation for our future generations, for our kids, for our children's children, in order for them to be able to not necessarily start where we started, right? When it comes to information or resources, we want them to start ahead of the curve. You know what I mean? I don't want my kids to start where I started. I want them to be as far as to take the information and the things I've learned and the resources I gathered and to establish greater things, right? To expand the business, to start their own business, right? Or whatever it is that God has called them to do. I want them to be well equipped and also learn from dad's mistakes and also from dad's successes. So, what do I mean when I say leave a legacy? Well, basically, we want to establish something, right? It doesn't have to necessarily be a company, but establish a good reputation for your last name, right? My last name is Sims, right? So I want people, when they think of the name Sims, right, to think of something positive. People that honor their word, that do what they say they're going to do, right? That are experts in a certain area, right? That are well put together, right? Whatever it is, right? But I want that name Sims to mean something when it's said in certain circles. There's certain circles that have no clue of who's a Sims or who's not. But for those that are in connection with us, I want that name to mean something. This fly is driving me crazy, man. They got in here because I was outside grilling, and this little fly done ran this building. But we're gonna keep pushing forward. But it's important that we leave a legacy. We must leave a legacy. We have to leave a legacy because if not, we're really not serving our purpose as being the generation before. And I got a couple of scriptures here that I'm going to bring to light that are going to help us expand upon this idea of what it means to leave a legacy. Like as a father, I'm going to leave a legacy for my children to follow. As a person, as a partner in this community, right? I'm going to leave a legacy to the community. I'm going to establish some things that are not just going to benefit my family, but I'm going to establish some things that will hopefully benefit other families that are connected to me, right? So I have this scripture that I want to pull up. It's Psalms 145, chapter 145, verse 4. So it's Psalm chapter 145, verse 4 in the English Standard Version. It says, "One generation shall commend your works to another and shall declare your mighty acts." Well, part of leaving a legacy or for your kids to connect to your legacy, right? Or to understand your legacy is for you to basically explain how these things came to be about, right? How did this business start? Where did dad go to school, right? Or what are the foundational principles that dad built the business on? And part of my foundation as a believer is scripture, right? So when it came to something I was believing for, i.e., the Sims Consulting Group or whatever it is, right, a house or whatever, there were certain scriptures that I was standing on. There's certain things that I kept before me, right? There's certain promises of God that I leaned to, or I leaned on, I should say, in order to bring these things to pass. My kids need to know about that, right? I gotta tell them the whole story. Hey, it wasn't that dad was super intelligent or super smart or super versed in buying a home, right? Part of this thing was, right, I asked God how to do this. I believe God for certain things. And these miraculous things happen. Now, some people may not see it as miraculous, right? Good credit score, good things, right? Money equals you buy a home, right? It's not necessarily a miracle in and of itself to buy a home, but my story, the way it came about for me when I purchased my first home, was a miracle, right? A lot of things had to happen for this specific home to come available, which led to me being in the place I was, and next to the neighbors I am, right? And all these other things, right? So part of that is commending God's works or the things that God has done for you, the doors God's opened for you, connecting it to the scripture and then presenting that to your children to let them know you don't have to walk through this life alone. You don't have to accomplish these things that God has set out for you on your own. You're not supposed to, right? You're supposed to take the promises of God and apply them to the situations that are in your life or the circumstances to bring about the results that you want to have in your life. So that's part of starting and building and leaving a legacy, right? It says, one generation shall commend your works to another and shall declare your mighty acts. Have you ever been healed by God? Has God ever opened the door financially? Have you ever been blessed? Have you ever received a job offer that you never could imagine, right? Just got one of my biggest contracts just last week. Huge contract, right? And that was really, I mean, as much as I would like to say, man, I'm so great at presenting, and my skills are tight. Yeah, I was prepared. But God had to open the doors when they saw that the company's profile or my profile or whatever it is. God had to bring something out of that, right? I'm sure it was just as many qualified people, but why me? I'm not necessarily, I'm really good at what I do, but that didn't open the door. That's going to allow me, that basically allows me to maintain what God has given to me. But at the end of the day, right, I don't even have to maintain it on my own. But it was the blessing of God, man. My kids need to know that, right? So I have to now commend his works to my children and declare his acts to my children. And that's part of leaving a legacy. And the second scripture, right, is 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 2, right? 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 2 out of the English Standard Version. And it says, and what you have heard from me in the presence of many witnesses, entrust to faithful men who will be able to teach others. Part of leaving a legacy is leaving or teaching or instructing the people that are coming after you, right? It doesn't always have to be, if you don't have children, it could be spiritual children, right? It could be nieces, nephews, right? We're all in some sort of position of leadership to a certain extent. You can be a teacher in the classroom. You could be a pastor. You could be a minister. You could be a big brother. You could be a community activist, right? But this information, this life that you lived has acquired some value if you've lived it correctly, right? Meaning, if you learn some things about life, right? Now, I'm not talking about book knowledge, and some of that is true, right? Accounting, and when it comes to running a business, there's certain specific business principles and education, right? That all has its place. But I'm talking about a little something different, right? If you've lived life long enough, you've acquired some information, some things to do, some things not to do, right? You've made some mistakes, you've learned from those mistakes. It's important that now you take that information and teach generations behind you, not so they don't have to make the same mistakes. Because experience sometimes is the most difficult way to learn. Hopefully, my children don't have to learn only from their experiences. And I pray that's not the case. They should learn from some of the things that dad has just said. Because dad's experiences should offset the kids' experiences. Meaning, if dad went through it and the bridge is out, right? I'm telling you, hey man, the way you're going, that bridge is out. My son and my daughter should be able to take that information, apply it to their situation, and make an adjustment, and they don't have to have the experiences that dad had. Right? Right, Chase? Like, for instance, when I was in school, man, I wanted to be a class clown. And I wasted some time, and it took me longer to get my MBA and my degrees than it should have. Right? Because my focus was off. So I should be able to go to my son and say, hey, man, listen, I know that you like the ladies. I get it. You're having a good time, right? But focus on your schoolwork. Focus on your purpose. Do the work. All that stuff will take care of it. So there's going to be plenty of women. There's going to be plenty of situations, right? But all you need is one. All you need is one good wife. I'm not into that. But at the end of the day, right? Focus on what it is that God has called you to do and get that working. Get that because a wife is supposed to help me to assist you in fulfilling your purpose. What is your purpose, son? And are you working on that, right? And then at the same time, when it comes to leaving a legacy, here's some resources. Or take the baton of the Sims Consulting Group and you run with that. Man, Dad, I see a bunch of other things, man. There's new technology, there's new things, right? Let me take this consulting group in another direction. Take the ball, run with it. Or take the baton, run with it. Or catch the pass, you scored a touchdown, right? Leaving a legacy, it incorporates leaving information and giving people the resources needed to take that information and turn it into a success story. And even my daughter, man, when it comes to the business too, man, it's not just for my son. There's certain things that her mom is going to have to teach her from the standpoint of a woman, but we're both leaving a legacy. You have to leave a legacy. Don't leave your kids in a position of figuring it out by themselves. They shouldn't. That's why they have you. And if that was your experience, I'm sorry to hear that, but you have to do better for the generation that's behind you. You got to do better. Whether even if they're not your kids, you gotta be able to share and leave that legacy, man. People should know that you were here, right? The world should be like, man, we lost a good one, man. When you leave this place, man, or when you move, or you leave a job, or you leave a situation, right, or you're not around, man, people should miss you. People should miss talking to you. They should miss what you brought to the table. And they should be able to look at the things you've established and built and be like, man, such and such was here. Such and such made a difference. Such and such didn't just serve themselves. Man, people not gonna remember how nice your car was 5, 10 years after you're gone. Man, they had a nice car. I wouldn't care what people thought about my car or my this or that. Man, that brother did X, Y, and Z for me. Or man, I worked at that company and I remember, man, and such, and this is how I brought my first home and all these different things, man. We have to leave a legacy, right? We can't just leave debt. We can't just leave bills. We can't just leave our heartaches and pains and all of those things, man. We have to leave a good legacy because a good man leaves a good inheritance to his children's children. And that's all I got to say about that, man. Once again, this is Andrew Sims with the Sims Consulting Group. We started out in Psalm 145, chapter 145, verse 4. We ended up in 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 2. And I implore you, man, leave a legacy. Leave a good legacy. And if you don't know how to do that, then pray, man. And if you're not a believer, look up some people that you honor, man, and see what they did for their families. Think about if you were the kid, what would you want your parents or your guardians or people that are over you to give you? And then give that to somebody that's behind you. So once again, this is Andrew Sims with the Sims Consulting Group. Leave a legacy, man. Be blessed. Peace.